Achievements and trophies have been a staple in gaming for a while now, and yet, they're pointless. They're f***ing pointless! But, sometimes, I just can't resist those digital PNGs and numbers. That little ding you get after doing something as small as absolutely f***ing nothing, or conquering the most difficult boss of all time, doesn't matter. It always successfully injects those sweet endorphins directly into my brain hole. Disabling trophy notifications is only for the mentally stable, the self-satisfied, the self-confident. How will I ever get out of bed again unless I get that platinum trophy in Megamind? So yeah, trophies typically just amount to some little PNGs relevant to the game and numbers that add to your virtual count that mean absolutely nothing in the long run. But I do enjoy that these things do help with keeping track of what games you play, what you did in them, and when you played them. Now that is one genuinely helpful feature. Today, I'd like to pretend that any of you give a shit about any of the games I've played back when I was unemployed and eating those Dollar Totino's party pizzas for dinner every night. But we're only going to cover every game in which I earned that ever-fabled platinum trophy. A trophy which only unlocks after you've earned every single other trophy in a game. I've gotten 23 in total, and I have some fun and interesting memories about getting the platinum some of these, so let's take a look. Ratchet & Clank: A Crack in Time is the first game I ever played on my PS3 and got trophies in, but I still haven't 100% of the game. It's an absolutely amazing and essential PS3 game, so I'll have to fix that in the future. My first platinum I ever got was in Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for PS3 on August 7th, 2012. I really love Sega's classic Genesis games, so I figured this would be a good one to go for on my first ever platinum trophy. For the most part, it was pretty easy, except for this one damn trophy that required beating Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. That game is really hard if you're not acclimated to Puyo Pop. I'm also kinda trash at puzzle games in general, but at least I know how to make YouTube videos. Which means I'm only somewhat useless to society. So I decided to cheat. I did every other trophy 100% legitimately, but I was not letting this single damn trophy get in the way of my elusive, shiny JPEG. Basically, I skipped the entire game to the final level. Poke fun at me for cheating all you like, but that final level still kicked my ass, man. It was difficult. But through sheer luck and absolutely no skill whatsoever, I did finally manage to conquer that final level. Apparently, only 2.4 players have gotten this platinum. This was the beginning of my long and arduous quest to become a certified gamer. Sonic Generations was up next, just the next day in fact. This was during my summer break at the time, so I had plenty of time to waste getting digital shiny things instead of learning how to do my taxes. I don't remember this one being that tough. It was such an exciting game back in 2011, so I decided to go back and do everything the next summer. Somehow only 0.8% of Chad gamers have this elusive platinum. A trophy that rare should have certainly gotten me into college. Why'd I suddenly go back for these trophies? It might have been because at the time, I was really excited to finally play these games in proper HD. Yes, even though I had an HD console and an HD TV, I was a dumbass and didn't know the difference between HDMI and component, so I was playing in standard definition the entire time. I didn't get any more platinums until late next year in 2013, when I decided to play through the Jak and Daxter Trilogy HD collection, starting with the very first original Jak and Daxter. This is a really easy one, just beat the game, get all the collectibles. This is still such a fun and original platformer. I highly recommend doing everything in this game if you play it. It's really worth the time for this wonderful game. Jak 2 was next, just a few days later. It's such an excellent open world platformer, definitely my favorite in the trilogy personally. I beat the game, but finding all the precursor orbs is necessary to fully complete this one. While there are fewer of them in Jak 2 than the first game, they're a hell of a lot easier to miss, and can be permanently missed if you progress too far into the game. I did not want to go through the hell of locating all these things, and yet, I still wanted to feel like I accomplished something. I knew deep down that I wouldn't accomplish anything in my personal life without proof of earning a Jak 2 Platinum, so I resorted to exploits. Yes folks, I used a glitch to get all the precursor orbs. Maybe I'd feel bad, but I really don't find 100%ing this game very fun anyway. It's perfect just playing through the story from front to back. Don't even worry about glitching for the platinum, let alone doing it legitimately, unless you're a worthless loser like me. Fast forward to 2015, which is definitely the year where my unemployed adult ass definitely got the most useless digital trinkets. An application? What's that? We start with Infamous First Light, a pretty decent expansion for Second Son on PS4. It was a solid game, pretty easy even on the hardest difficulty, and the only reason I decided to platinum this one was the fact that it was so short compared to the main games. I really felt in the mood to play through the entire Sly Cooper trilogy again, this time in HD. This trilogy is immaculate. The Adventures of Sly and his crew are absolute must-plays for anyone with PlayStation consoles. All three of them have really easy platinums. 100%ing these games doesn't take that much time and is highly recommended as part of the experience. The hardest one I would say would be Sly 3, which had a set of a few extra challenges, but especially after playing through the entire trilogy, was easy. That February, I was possessed by a demon, and that demon told me, "You will buy the Order 1886 Collector's Edition on launch day at $79.99 plus tax." So I bought On the Border 1886 Collector's Edition on launch day at $79.99 plus tax. Yes, I'm serious. I'm sure that I just reminded a lot of you that this game even existed. I have no idea what came over me to buy this game at launch, let alone the stupid Collector's Edition with the stupid statue. Despite definitely not being worth $60 plus, I'd say the game is still actually a solid shooter and has a pretty good story. It's definitely worth the current price tag at the very least. This game only requires playing through the game once and getting a few collectibles. Insanely easy, finished it in 2 sittings. Dust and Elysian Tale is a beautiful 2D action RPG that literally everyone, including your grandma, needs to play. I originally loved this game when it first came out on Xbox 360, and I adored playing through this absolutely gorgeous and fun adventure again on my PS4. On PS4, I decided to 100% the game for the first time. It wasn't too crazy difficult, and I had a hell of a good time from beginning to end. Grim Fandango is an absolutely fantastic adventure game unlike any other. It may be my favorite point-and-click style adventure game of all time. It has insanely memorable characters, a killer soundtrack, a fun story, and some really good puzzles to boot. I tried to use a guide as little as possible when it came to the main puzzles and story, but I did admittedly use a guide to get the platinum on my first playthrough just for fun. Getting the platinum in this game involves finding a lot of very obscure side items and getting into conversations with other characters in ways that you normally wouldn't expect. It was honestly worth it, because I wouldn't have seen all the really funny and interesting dialogue exchanges this game has to offer without the guide helping me out. The Walking Dead, this is Telltale's masterpiece. It's a great game with a beautiful and intense story, but getting the platinum literally just requires beating the game. Okay, here's a big one. Motherfucking Bloodborne. This is one of the absolute best games on the PS4. A brutal but fairly balanced trek through a beautifully yet disgusting Victorian-style world. It has to be my favorite From Software game that I've played to date. I was hooked from the moment I started playing. I would say this is the second hardest platinum I've ever gotten. No exploits, no cheats. I had to do this shit front to back, learning everything about the world and enemies, all the best strategies, and how to use weapons and items. Conquering this one was so much fun. I honestly couldn't put the controller down until I finally defeated the final boss of the Chalice dungeons. Bloodborne truly was a challenge that I'll never forget. I'm glad that I decided to do all of the major things in this game. Wolfenstein: The Old Blood was a pretty fun story expansion to the recent Wolfenstein titles. It was a lot shorter and had a lot less to do for the platinum than the main games, similar to Infamous First Light. I got the game near launch, so I actually remember that I did use an exploit that was later patched out to complete the insanely difficult challenge maps. Oh, classic Ultra. Always cheating, never doing things legitimately, no pride, no integrity. How can you guys support me when I didn't even get Wolfenstein: The Old Blood's Platinum Trophy exactly as the developers intended? I also managed to get the Platinum in the original God of War HD. Beating the Challenge of the Gods and completing the game a second time in under 5 hours was a bit of a bitch and a half, but I did manage to pull this one off. Obviously a classic game here. In 2016, I got the Ratchet & Clank movie remake game movie on launch day, and quickly beat the game and 100%ed it for the Platinum. As a huge Ratchet & Clank fan, while I can safely say this is one of the weaker games in the series in my eyes, It was really impressive at the time, and despite its issues, it is still a really fun game. Way too easy for a Ratchet game, but I had a good time. Sound Shapes is a neat little rhythm platformer. It's a fair challenge when it comes to the platforming stages, but there's also a side mode where basically you need to replicate music through a level editor. I'm not very musically inclined, so I used a guide to get through this one, aside from the platforming stages, of course. I platinumed the original Jak and Daxter again on my PS4 in 2018, and absolutely nothing else happened in 2018. The original Spyro the Dragon trilogy are 3 of my favorite games of all time to this day, so imagine my excitement when we got a gorgeous HD remake coming, including the first 3 games. I 100%ed all of these games on Xbox One when the collection came out, but later on I did get a PS4 copy as well and decided to get the platinum on the first game there. It's real easy and highly recommended. All you have to do is 100% the game and complete some simple and fun tasks. Despite some of the improvements the series saw with its sequels, the first game's simplicity and charm make it my absolute favorite game in the series to this day. I can never get enough of it. As you can probably tell, I absolutely love platformers, and the brilliant indie 3D platformer A Hat in Time is no exception. It's such a creative game and a real fun time. Definitely one of the absolute best of the Collectathon revival. Sure as hell better than Ukulele. I did everything necessary in this game to unlock the platinum, and it was definitely worth it. This is a game worth playing and completing. Whoo boy, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is absolutely the hardest platinum I've ever unlocked. This game puts Bloodborne to absolute crying shame. In order to complete this game and complete every necessary time trial, you will need to master its mechanics and the tracks, which is a lot easier said than done. It took a lot of playing every single day for almost a month or so. But if you're like me, I got really addicted to this game. I've always been a CTR fan since the original. It's always been my favorite kart racer, even beating Mario Kart, honestly. But I never realized just how complex this game is mechanically. It's simple to jump into, but difficult as hell to master. If you really do latch onto this awesome racer, it might be worth going for the platinum. Just keep in mind it's insanely difficult, and it's absolutely the rarest platinum I've ever gotten. 2021! Absolutely nothing happened in 2020. So my next platinum didn't come until I was lucky enough to snag a PS5 this year. I have been loving the heck out of my PS5. It's such an awesome console. I just can't get over how well it plays most games that just look so stunning and play great. The system comes packaged with a lovely little platformer that does an awesome job celebrating PlayStation's history in fun and unique ways. Astro's Playroom is really short, but an absolute blast. It takes no time to do everything in this game. And if you can snag a PS5, I know it's difficult, but the game comes with it for literally free. You'd be a stupid, dumb idiot not to play this. It's like Sony made a short-form Nintendo-influenced platformer, but with their own twist only a Sony game could provide. It rocks. And if you dare get a PS5 and delete Astro's Playroom without playing it first, then I'll delete you, motherfucker. My hype for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was unmatched before release, so I couldn't help but replay some of the older games. I've decided that I'd like to 100% all of the main games in the series, which is something I've never actually done before. So I started with, of course, the original. Despite having aged in some ways in the gameplay department, it's still such a great game, and I think that its personality alone still makes this one a better game when compared to the 2016 remake, as refined as that is. It's so charming, funny, and it's just still so much fun. Glitching this game for 1 million bolts was a chore. I had to put a pair of pliers on my circle button for like 14 hours, but that part was zero effort, it wasn't a big deal, and I got to see some hidden areas for the first time in a game I grew up with. It was a really cool experience, actually. So, that's all of my worthless garbage trophies. Really, the most important part about these is the memories playing these games and, well, the games themselves. Some easy, some a little cheesy, and a few that are just fucking hard as fuck. I'll definitely be 100%ing Rift Apart next, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. Believe it or not, there is one life achievement even grander than purchasing the Order 1886 Collector's Edition for full price at launch. Buying Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival used for just $2.99 plus tax at GameStop. Now them's some savings. Oh wait, I don't have any Animal Crossing Amiibos for my copy of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Fuck, you can't play Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival without Amiibos from Animal Crossing. Fuck!